You know, every time you flip a switch, the lights just come on. Every time you turn a tap, clean water flows. But what if they didn't? Today, we're going to dive into the invisible, high-stakes battle being fought to protect our critical infrastructure. Everything from our power grids to our factories, in an age where everything is connected. And because of that, everything is a target. So let's really think about that for a second. When you see a car being built by robots on an assembly line, what's actually stopping a hacker from bringing all of that to a screeching halt? Well, the answer is way more complex than just a simple firewall. It actually lies in the collision of two completely different technological universes. To really wrap our heads around the risk, we first have to understand these two worlds. For decades, they operated in completely separate bubbles, but now they're colliding, and the consequences aren't just about data breaches anymore. They're about real, physical world disruptions. Okay, so let's break this down. On one side, you've got IT, information technology. This is the world we all know, right? It's data, email, the cloud, the corporate office network. But then you've got OT, or operational technology. This is the tech that controls the physical stuff, the machinery on a factory floor, the turbines in a power plant. For years, OT was like a fortified castle, completely isolated from the outside world. But now, we're building a massive internet bridge straight to the castle gates, and that changes everything. Now, this connection, this bridge, is what the industry calls convergence. And trust me, it's more than just a buzzword. It's a fundamental rewiring of our entire industrial world, weaving that digital realm of IT directly into the physical machinery of OT. So what does this convergence actually look like in the real world? Well, it means we can use real-time data from a wind turbine to predict exactly when it needs maintenance. It means we can automate an entire factory production line from a central command center miles away. It's all about making our industries smarter, faster, and just radically more efficient. And you might be asking, why is this all happening right now? Well, there are a few huge forces at play. First, there's the big push for what's called Industry 4.0, the fourth industrial revolution, which is all about automation and data. Then you have the massive shift to the cloud, which makes remote operations possible. Add in the demand for things like predictive maintenance, fixing a machine before it breaks, plus the constant pressure to cut costs, and what you get is a perfect storm driving this convergence. But, and this is a huge but, while this convergence brings incredible benefits, it also rips open a whole new set of security vulnerabilities that, honestly, we've never really had to face before on this scale. So here's the core of the problem. A lot of these OT systems are decades old. They were built to run for maybe 30 years in a completely closed, isolated network. They were never, ever designed to be connected to the internet. So basic things we take for granted, like passwords and encryption, were often an afterthought, if they were even thought of at all. And the direct consequence of connecting these old systems is that the attack surface, that's all the possible entry points for a hacker, has just exploded. An attacker could, in theory, breach a standard office email system and then use that as a digital beachhead to pivot right into the factory network and shut down a critical production line. And the people exploiting these new gaps, they're exactly who you'd be afraid of. We're seeing ransomware attacks that don't just lock up your files anymore. They can actually lock up the controls for a water treatment plant. And on top of that, we're seeing highly sophisticated state-sponsored groups who are systematically targeting the critical infrastructure of other nations as a form of modern warfare. And what makes all this even harder is this deep-rooted culture clash. See, the IT team's number one job is protecting data. Confidentiality is king. But for the OT team, the absolute top priority is physical safety and just keeping the machinery running 24/7. These goals are often in direct conflict, and that creates massive blind spots when they're suddenly forced to create one unified security plan. Okay, so the problem is big, it's complex, but it is not hopeless. There is a way forward. So let's look at how organizations can actually build a digital fortress to protect this new converged world. The strategy really revolves around 6 key pillars. It's a playbook top security experts use. It all starts with asset discovery, because you just can't protect what you don't even know you have. Then comes network segmentation. Think of this as building digital walls to stop an intruder from moving from one area to another. Virtual patching is super important. It's like putting a protective shield around an old system that can't be taken offline for a normal security update. Next up, deep content inspection, which scans all data for hidden threats. Then you have strict access control, which just means people only have access to what they absolutely need to do their job and nothing more. And finally, continuous monitoring, using special tools that understand the unique language of OT systems so you can spot something weird before it becomes a disaster. Let's just pause on deep content inspection for a second because it highlights a truly wild reality. Believe it or not, many of these highly secure, supposedly air-gapped industrial systems are still updated using physical USB drives. Yeah, you heard that right. DCI technology basically scans the actual content of every single file on that USB stick, hunting for any hidden malware before it ever gets near a critical machine. It is a vital last line of defense. All right, so those are the tools in the toolbox. But tools are pretty useless without a good strategy, right? So let's look at the high-level playbook for putting them all together so they actually work. It really boils down to a clear four-step plan. First, you assess your risk. Figure out what your most critical systems are. Second, you prioritize. You can't fix everything at once, so you focus on the most exposed and mission-critical assets first. Third, you integrate your tools so that your IT and OT security systems can actually talk to each other and share information. And finally, and this one is absolutely crucial, you simulate and test. You run drills with both the IT and OT teams together, so when a real incident happens, it's not the first time they've ever had to work side by side under pressure. So here's the bottom line. This convergence thing, it's inevitable. The benefits are just way too great to ignore. But we cannot assume it's going to be secure by default. The key takeaway, really, is that digitization and protection absolutely have to go hand in hand from the very beginning. And that leaves us with one final, really critical question to think about. As our physical world, our factories, our power grids, our hospitals, becomes more and more intertwined with the digital one, who is ultimately responsible for keeping it all safe? It's something we're all going to have to answer, probably the next time we flip a light switch and just expect it to work. Thanks for joining this explainer.